Hello, I'm John Davis, and I am here in Hagerstown, Maryland, recording this discussion. JSTOR Research, the intent of the Second Amendment. What is the current status of scholarship regarding the intent and purpose of the Second Amendment? The JSTOR archival journal collections provide access to an amazing array of academic journals, articles, and books, and a search on the Second Amendment returns an overwhelming quantity of material. I chose several relevant articles and am recording this discussion based on my reading of those as well as relevant primary sources. The two most apparent modern schools of thought concerning the origin and the intent of the Second Amendment, which have held sway for most of the 20th and early 21st century, are based on modern political thought and viewpoints. Dr. Robert E. Shalhope states in his article, The Ideological Origins of the Second Amendment, that since its ratification in 1791, the Second Amendment has remained in relative obscurity. Going on to identify the major modern interpretations of the Second Amendment in terms of the debate regarding gun legislation which emerged in the 20th century and continues today. The two primary schools of thought he identifies in this period are the individual rights school, which is largely opposed by those within the collective rights and communal responsibility school of thought. Dr. Shalhope states that this impasse is a factor of both sides interpreting historical facts in terms of their modern beliefs in politics, and that by looking to the late 18th century we can gain a better perspective of the origins of the Second Amendment than by concerning ourselves with the late 20th century. He then identifies a school of thought emerging among Revolutionary War scholars who recognize the importance of republicanism. It is through the lens of republicanism which provides the best view of the founders' thought process and why they wrote and organized the Constitution, and its supporting Bill of Rights as they did, as well as giving those searching for answers some idea of the founders' intent. Thomas Jefferson expressed this exact sentiment in his letter to William Johnson, dated 12 June 1823, wherein he wrote, "On every occasion, let us carry ourselves back to the time when the Constitution was adopted, recollect the spirit manifested in the debates, and instead of trying what meaning that may be squeezed out of the text or invented against it, conform to the probable one in which it was passed." While many scholars like Roy G. Weatherup, Stephen P. Holbrook, Patrick J. Charles, and Stephen I. Vladeck may continue debate the Second Amendment based on current philosophical and legalistic differences within a collectivist versus individual rights perspective. Others, like Joseph J. Ellis, former Forward Foundation professor of history at Mount Holyoke College, whose works include American Creation, Triumphs and Tragedies at the Founding of the Republic, and the Quartet orchestrating the Second American Revolution, among others, take a rather absolutist view of the Second Amendment. Ellis's coverage in the body of the Quartet dedicates one paragraph to Madison's proposal for what would become the Second Amendment, but in an endnote states that the original intent of and central pillar of the Second Amendment was a now obsolete requirement of a robust militia system to ensure national security. He states Madison's motive in 1789 are clear beyond any reasonable doubt, to wit, the right to bear arms derived from the need to make a state militia the core pillar of national defense, implying that there was no intention of an individual right, and all who disagree, to include the majority of the justices in the Heller decision, are guilty of legalistic legerdemain masquerading as erudition. In doing so, he displays a measure of inflexibility of interpretation based on his position of the modern Second Amendment debate, which undermines his position. The founders, however, were relatively clear as to their intent if the subject is considered within their perspective and their experience.